And when the opinion was handed down, it totally disregarded the ongoing cases in the Israeli High Court of Justice that were dealing with complaints of affected Israelis and Palestinians as to how the wall, the security barrier, was affecting their lives. Moreover, the decision itself totally disregarded what was the reason that the Israeli ministers and the prime minister made that terrible decision that they felt they had to make, and which has proven to be a necessary decision. And that was the decision to stand up and defend her people, to protect her people, to perform the obligation of every nation state in the world to defend and protect the population for which that nation state is responsible. The wall, the security barrier, the terrorism prevention fence, whatever you want to call it, was constructed for one reason: to keep out the terrorists. And the fact that there are other security barriers in the world was given no credit, no credence at all in the United Nations requested opinion. Let me just read to you what the U.S. Justice on the International Court of Justice said in his dissenting opinion, because I think it gets close to saying it all. And I quote Justice Bergenthal: "To reach the conclusion without having before the court or seeking to ascertain all relevant facts bearing directly on issues of Israel's legitimate right of self-defense, military necessity, and security needs, given the repeated deadly terrorist attacks in and upon Israel proper, coming from the occupied Palestinian territory in which Israel has been and continues to be subjected, cannot be justified as a matter of law. The nature of these cross-green line attacks and their impact on Israel and the population are never really seriously examined by the court, and the dossier provided the court by the United Nations, on which the court to a large extent bases its findings, barely touches on that subject." So why are we surprised at Goldstone? It's the same United Nations that doesn't allow Israel to be properly into a regional bloc. It's the same United Nations that does not allow Israel, therefore, to sit on the Security Council, because you have to come from a regional bloc, a regional grouping, in order to be able to sit. It's the same United Nations that has tolerated and, in fact, encouraged at the Human Rights Council, at the Human Rights Commission, at the UN forums that are held periodically, at the recent UN Durban Review Conference, where in Geneva we heard Ahmadinejad castigate Israel, again deny the Holocaust, and again threaten her right to exist. This is the United Nations, not far from us. Let me conclude. We have some choices here in this room. Most of us are lawyers, or we're passionate about the rule of law, we're passionate about justice, we're passionate about seeking justice. Let us do something about it. Because, as I began, not until you hear the moan of the victim, remembering what the terrorist attack was like, or remembering the beautiful eyes of their daughter who was killed. Not until you remember those things will you really be making a difference in this war, and it is a war. There are lawsuits that have been filed that are spurious. There are lawsuits that are pending that are worthwhile. Some have collected. We and others have been fortunate enough to help bring Libya to the table and collect and maybe even change, not conduct, but at least get a justice in terms of recovery. But that's only one case. There are lots of others that have been filed. Those cases need support. Those cases need encouragement. And I suggest to each and every one of you, in your law firms, whether you consider it pro bono, whether you consider it for a fee, please, from this conference, take to the higher calling of doing something really within the law, under the rule of law, to stand up against terrorism, to make it clear that terrorism, the taking of life and limb, is unacceptable not only in American courts, it is unacceptable in the world. And what human rights is really about is standing up and protecting rights of people, individual people, no matter where they may live, all people. And let us not permit the United Nations to get away with excusing terrorism as if there was some justifiable greater cause. There is no greater cause that allows the taking of human life, no matter their race nor their religion. Thank you.